Hello everyone, I am Alka1993 and welcome to this video where I am sort of reviewing the first Pleiades tournament. You've seen the 5 duel videos that I played, and I think it was pretty exciting. I think it was really, it was a lot of fun. Things didn't always go the way I would have liked because I didn't do as well as I'd hoped. Naturally, someone would want to win, and I'm definitely a competitive person, and I didn't win the tournament. If we look at the standings, let's see, Players Tournament 1. I ended up in 4th place with 2 wins. Let's just go over what I thought about the tournament, and my deck and my decisions behind it. It was the first time I did the tournament, so I didn't really get that many people in. We only had 6, and we needed at least 9 for Swiss tournament, so I found it unfortunate that we didn't have at least 9, because I really would have liked to do Swiss and then top cut. But still, to be able to do a tournament like this was still fun. I was able to test out some things, and I definitely learned from it. Quite a big variety in decks, no real strategy that came forward being clearly the best. There were a few options. There were Hunders. Geargia was there. I think there was a little bit of a volcanic engine. And then Chaos was an option as well. There's some other just strong monsters such as Mad Dog of Darkness and Darkblade. And we had quite a few destruction cards, Sakura Armor, Smashing Ground, things that you could get rid of cards with, like compulsory. So it was an interesting mix to see what everyone would come up with. Now, in terms of my deck building, the very first thing I noticed was Chaos is very strong. Black Soldier on 5 at the beginning is in the game. There's also Chaos Sorcerer, I believe. Then I thought, okay, I want to make that. Then I was obviously for that you need light and darks, and I saw lights in the Hunders, and I was like, okay, I'm just running the Hunders. What I didn't realize at the time of deck building, and I chose not to do any testing, because I felt that if I found something good that others didn't notice, then if I tested, then at least those that I tested against, which have to be people from the tournament, considering no one else is going to play with this card pool, then they will know that secret or that special thing that I found, and they can then incorporate it into their deck. So that's the positive end about not testing. The negative thing is, if my deck isn't very consistent, I'm not going to notice. And my deck didn't turn out to be very consistent. My main engine, I suppose, in terms of an archetype was the Hunters, but there were no searchers for the Hunters. And you needed multiple of them in your hand, 2, including at least a Hunter or Mahunter, to even get 2 out of them on the field. But even then, you couldn't really do much with them because they were light and they were Thunder. And the only rank 4 Xyz that I could make in my deck was Excalibur. Something that needed 2 anyway. And that was Warriors. To make Thunderspark, I needed 3 of them, and that barely ever happened. Sure, I did summon Thunderspark Dragon like 2 or 3 times, but the consistency of that wasn't there. I would have definitely changed my deck if I had done like a match or 2 of testing. That didn't work out. And another thing that didn't help in the consistency was, like, okay, this wasn't consistent, so that wasn't very good, but I still had the very strong BLS at 2 copies in my deck. However, there were plenty of light monsters. There were, as I said, the Hunters, Mirage Dragon. I felt that would have been a really nice monster to have, so I had that at 2 copies. Not at 3 because I felt on its own it wasn't that useful, but if you have it alongside something like Excalibur or BLS, this thing could just help you. Maybe not OTK, but at least deal heavy damage and destroy a lot of things. So that's why I had it in there. And then Freed with a nice effect that was pretty darn useful throughout the tournament. There were enough lights, but the darks weren't really there. There was DD Scout playing, there was Chaos Necromancer. And there were some darks throughout the sets that were available, but not great ones. So I decided, let's just bring in the things that could do well on their own as well, and bring in 3 Mad Dog of Darkness and 3 Darkblade, and just hope I draw into them. And once again, it's a hope I draw into them, and then you get BLS. And eventually I think I summoned BLS once, maybe twice throughout the tournament, so even that didn't really work out. I did have Heart of the Underdog. That was also one of the first few strategies that I came up with as a potential for the deck before I properly started building it. use Heart of the Underdog with a good amount of normal monsters to increase draw power, and through that gain some consistency. Because, well, Matt Dark Darkness, Darkblade, Sparkman, they don't have consistency from themselves. They don't have effects that destroy things. They don't draw things, special summon other things. So that together, I was hoping would work out, but really, I didn't. You still first have to draw into Heart of the Underdog, and even then, it didn't go off as much as I'd hoped. So I'd often side it out. So even that part of the engine, so the hunters and then the normals with Heart of the Underdog, didn't really work out. Blackluster Soldier and the Darks didn't get enough of the Darks often. Didn't really work out. The one thing I'd say, the things that did work out, Freed was a very nice card because I had quite a lot of light monsters. I'd say Freed in terms of my main deck monster lineup was the my best monster. Foolish Barrel did help. I had it there to set up some chaos stuff, which was nice, but I didn't really get to use that much either. Body's Shield, nice as defense. Smashing, Compulse, Sakuratsu to get rid of monsters. And Dustinator to get rid of spells and traps. Spell and trap lineup is fine. Foolish Barrel, I guess, nice for the chaos. And then Heart of the Underdog, so maybe Foolish Barrel and Heart of the Underdog would have been changed. Um, but the rest of the spell and trap lineup was good. I had Grandmauger de Aiza in the side deck because I was considering it originally when I had a lot more Chaos cards in there. I had Chaos Sorcerer in there, a few other cards that help with Chaos. But then I realized, one, I didn't have enough Dark monsters to consistently pull off the Chaos monsters, so that's already why I cut it down to just 2 BLS and not 3 BLS or something, and like 2 BLS and a Chaos Sorcerer. I knew it wouldn't be that consistent, so then the BLSs would just be dead draws. So that's why I cut down on that. Grandmauger de Aiza was originally in the deck, in the main deck. But I decided to put it in the side deck anyway in case the opponent would also use Chaos, like a deck like this. And then maybe I could bring it in, this Aiza, to have some attacking. But in the one match that I played against someone who also had Chaos, I just had enough to bring it in because there wasn't much that was being banished anyway. I think Dimensional Fissure or Macrocosmos would have been needed to really properly pull that off. Some other cards, I guess another My Body is a Shield, Tribute to the Dune, Compulsory, Anti-Spell Fragments against decks that use the lightest spell cards. Chain Disappearance, I didn't feel that 3 would be good, but there were decks that this could have been used against. I think Madolche, Madolche or Mewfoy, this could have been nice. So in hindsight, I guess get rid of the Daezas and more Chain Disappearance, or maybe some more of some other things. I had a lot of lights with effects, so I didn't bother with Light Imprisoning Mirror, also because of BLS. But considering my Darks didn't have effects, I did decide to put in some Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors in case the opponent was using some Dark mods. I think I cited that at least one or more of these in one of the matches, maybe 2, but I'm pretty sure at least one. And then Void Trapple, which is nice for anything really that summons something big. If they focus on bringing out some dangerous Xyz monsters, maybe they would often summon Gigant X, maybe they have BLS, then Void Trapple could help and stop that. Extra deck, there wasn't really much available. Excalibur and Spark Dragon were the only ones I could really summon, so went with those, and then the rest I just filled up. Not that I could use them. I learned from this tournament throughout the matches, and pretty early on, consistency is key. Yes, you can have a strong strategy, and I still feel that the strongest strategy was Chaos due to BLS, just being the strongest monster, but it was very hard to pull off. And if I could pull it off, then it was nice. But there were still like traps that could deal with BLS because it's not immune to anything. But if you could pull off BLS, then that's nice. But it was really hard to pull off, which made to consistently pull it off throughout the matches really hard. It was the strongest strategy, I feel, but definitely not the best one, because that was something else. The winner of the tournament was Pretzel. They used Geargia and Volcanics. I think they were the only one with the Volcanic engine, the Blaze Accelerator, Rocket, Scattershot, and Shell. I'm not sure if they ever did the full Scattershot combo. I think they used Scattershot like once or twice, but it's mostly Shell and Rocket. But one thing that multiple people noticed, I think 3 out of the 6 participants, is what was the most consistent strategy, and that was Geargia. Arsenal was just nice, but it could also, if you wanted, special summon one of the others. Geargia Accelerator, one shot any of the others on the field could special summon itself. But Girgi Armor, I'd say, was the MVP of this entire tournament. Girgi Armor's consistency. 1900 defense, pretty difficult to get over because there wasn't that much monster destruction. You couldn't super fast get many monsters out. So in that sense, it was somewhat of a slow tournament, which I don't actually mind. It's good to have some variety in there. That's also something good about the varying card pools of these tournaments. Gigi Armor was the MVP. Even when it did get destroyed, it flipped face up, searched another Girgia, so let's say it searched for an Arsenal. But even Arsenal, like you could attack with it, and then main phase 2, then whoop, tribute it, summon a new Girgi Armor in defense position, use Armor's effect, flip it face out, and next turn you get the search again. And then, because they are machines, you had the power of Gigant X, you could overlay two of them, and Gigant X would search for whichever one of these you would want. So the combination of these cards, Accelerate to help set up Xyz's, Armor's searchability, and the fact that it can reuse its effect, and then Arsenal for its attack, and the fact that it can then generally search for armor, and then Gigant X, that combination was the main combination that did win the tournament. So Pretzel, well done on winning the tournament. Well done on finding out what that consistent strategy is. Now my goal going into Tournament 2, because the Tournament 2 at the time of recording has already happened and has finished, and you'll be seeing videos of that soon. My goal was find the strongest strategy, but mostly find the most consistent strategy. Find consistency and see if you can find some strong elements in that consistent strategy. And if that's strong enough, then maybe I won't win all matches, but maybe I'll win, let's say there's 6 matches, I'll win 5 of the 6. That was sort of the mindset with which I went into Tournament 2, because I definitely wanted to do better than this one. I was in bottom half, I was 4th. I wasn't on the podium, so minimum podium was my goal, but obviously the idea is to win it. I want to win the tournament, and you'll be seeing in the coming weeks if that worked out. Speaking of future tournaments, though, Tournament 2 has finished, but Tournament 3 has yet to start. And if you are watching this video on the day it goes live, so on the 1st of December 2019, then if you use the link in the description, which will take you to my Discord server, which I'll invite, everyone is invited to join that, even if you don't want to join the next tournament. If you click on that link and you register today, then you can join Tournament 2, because at the end of the 1st of December, registration will close, and on upcoming Tuesday, so the start of the 3rd of December, is when the tournament officially starts. Tournament 3 with the most competitive card pool yet. Now, you haven't seen Tournament 2, and I won't say how the card pool of that tournament compares to Tournament 1. It's a very different one, as will be in every tournament, always a different card pool. And for those that are new, it's like 2 or 3 main sets, 1 or 2 structure starter decks, 1 or 2 side sets, and then it's such an interesting format, and you have to adapt every time, have to deck build every time, and sort of predict what works well. In Tournament 1 didn't go well for me. You'll be seeing how well I did for Tournament 2. Hope you're looking forward to it, and I hope to see you in my tournament server to make Tournament 3 super special. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.